Hi, I am vlogging from Mendocino, California. It's a coastal community in Northern California. I am here celebrating my birthday for a few days. I do not have my Teardrop camper with me. I'm staying at a vacation rental that I manage, and it's been really lovely. And I just love Mendocino. It's an area I fell in love with the minute I saw it. It's got this dramatic coastline and crystal blue water and gorgeous trees and a cute little village, the village of Mendocino. It's where they filmed Murder, She Wrote, and the Victorian homes and just everything I love. So whenever there's a special occasion, a lot of times this is where I come to spend it because I just love it here. And I'm about to go into the Fort Bragg Botanical Gardens, which is one of my favorite activities to do in general, but I particularly love these botanical gardens, and it's a good time of year to go, I think. So I will share some of the botanical gardens with you. But I've been vlogging my journey for the last 9 months or so into my journey to become a full-time, or perhaps at least a part-time nomad, adventurer, explorer, whatever you want to call it. And I weighed out a lot of different options, and I ended up going with a Teardrop camper because I didn't want to purchase another car, another truck, or anything like that. I needed to go with what I had already, which is an SUV, a Honda SUV, and I could not tow anything more than 1,500 pounds. And so I went with a Teardrop camper. And I could have bought a used RV, but I just thought I don't want, a lot of breakdowns. I wanted to keep it more simple. So I'm not sure if I can do full-time in the Teardrop or not. I'm pretty sure, though, I could do part-time, but I don't know. We'll have to see. I'm doing little trips to figure it out. But I've hit a couple of snafus with the Teardrop. I've shared in a previous video that I had a water leak in the kitchen galley, and the manufacturer had sent out somebody a local person to try and repair it. They were not able to, and so then the manufacturer actually offered to exchange a new camper and give back the old one that I have and exchange it for a new one, which was very generous. But I called my local Department of Vehicles, and I found out that I would have to register the new one all over again, get new license plate. I wouldn't have to pay sales tax again because it's not a sales transaction, but I would have to pay the registration fees again, which were several $100s. And so I thought, I don't want to have to I'm already spending so much money to try to get up and running. It's cost me a small fortune here between supplies and the camper and everything you need to get going. And I can't see spending several $100s again. So I remembered that I actually am going on a cruise to Alaska this fall in September. And the cruise leaves from Vancouver, and that's where the manufacturer is. And so I offered to drive it up there in September and then leave it with the manufacturer while I'm gone on the cruise, and have them repair that leak for me. It'll be good in that it's going to be saving me airfare to get up to Vancouver, but it was very difficult. I had to go pick up the camper in January and drive several days in a row up to Canada to pick it up, and it was really hard on my body and my back and my butt. All that sitting for hours and hours, it was really hard. So I'm not looking forward to doing that all over again. If there's any way I can spread it out, that would be good. But I do work, so it's a little challenging to take off a lot of time of work. But for right now, that's the plan, is to bring it up in September. But I didn't share this in my last video, in that there's another issue that's come up with the Teardrop trailer, and that is that when I was camping with it recently for 3 nights, I was waking up in the middle of the night with a bad migraine headache. And that is not unusual for me. I do tend to get migraine headaches. I've been migraine sufferer for many, many years. But this was a really bad one, and also it lasted a long time. A lot of times in the morning I could just have a cup of coffee and it gets rid of the headache, but this would not. I could not drink enough coffee or take enough pain medication to get rid of it, and it was for 3 whole days. Every night I was getting a headache. Also, I noticed my asthma, which I have, was getting worse, and I was coughing a lot and really bad off, and I kept sensing and feeling like it was something inside the camper. And it still has that odor, that smell of the paints and all of the varnishes and adhesives or whatever they use. And I'm surprised by that, because it's been several months now that I've had it, and it's been sitting outside in the sun somewhat, and I thought maybe some of that would burn off, but the odor is still pretty darn strong. And also there's a memory foam mattress in there, and that also has smells to it too. And so I'm a very sensitive person. I'm kind of like the canary in the coal mine, in that I really have sensitive reactions to things. And so I don't know if you know this, but a lot of like wood veneers and pressed woods and adhesives and things like that actually give off a lot of what's called off-gassing. They're volatile organic compounds, also known as VOCs. And when you move into a new home and you've got all the new cabinetry, the new flooring, the vinyl, the pressed wood, the adhesives, all those materials, they tend to off-gas, and they can off-gas some nasty chemicals such as formaldehyde, which is a known carcinogen. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing this word right, but there's another one called phthalates. It's spelled with a P, and other chemicals that off-gas. And so when you get a new piece of furniture and you bring it into your home, a lot of times it's off-gassing into your environment. And also even not hardwood flooring, that's actually a safe flooring, but the laminated wood, the synthetic flooring, all of that tends to off-gas. And a lot of people have no reaction to it whatsoever, but there's some people like myself that are very sensitive to that, and it's almost like an allergic reaction. For some people it might manifest as a sore throat, a burning throat, maybe an itchy nose or a runny nose. For me, it's headaches that I tend to get from chemicals, as well as the asthma, respiratory. So I think that my trailer is off-gassing, and I think that's why I was feeling so sick while I was staying in it. And that bums me out, because that's not going to work for me to be able to stay in it and be breathing in all those fumes. When I did some research on it, I was shocked to find out that some things can take 7 to 10 years to off-gas. I'm like, oh my goodness. And I also found out in some of my research that RVs can be some of the worst, because a lot of times the RV manufacturers are using really cheap materials from China, and they off-gas even more. And I just think that it's not a well-regulated industry either, so they can kind of abuse it and do what they want. So it's kind of up to us to do the research and figure out what is safe, and do what we can to mitigate those fumes that are coming into our environment. And so I did some research. I found a website or an article. It was, I think, Bob Scott RV, something like that. And he has a good article about what to do to burn off those chemicals in your RV, or even if you've got a van and you did a build out. That's, again, you're being exposed to all those nasty chemicals coming from the pressed wood and the adhesives. I mean, I'm no expert on this, but this is what I've learned so far in my research. So, if I was to buy a used RV, I would not buy anything newer than, say, 10 years, because, like I said, it can take many years to off-gas. If you buy a used RV, you're probably better off in terms of the off-gassing, but it's the new RVs that are off-gassing. So my trailer, I am pretty sure, is off-gassing. It's a very strong odor in there. I start coughing. It's just bad. And I'm kind of kicking myself, to be real honest, because it had crossed my mind before I even bought it that I could have this kind of an issue. I remember years ago, a friend of mine had a Teardrop trailer, and she let me look inside, and I poked my head in, and I was bowled over by the strong odor in there from the build, the paint. I mean, that's the other thing, paint also off gases. And I thought, ooh, I could not stay in there. Ooh, that's awful. That's terrible, you know? And I kind of forgot about it, or I don't know. I guess I just sort of pushed it under the rug. I don't know. So it's an issue. And so there are a couple of things I can try to help mitigate the off-gassing. You can actually heat up your RV and close up all the windows, all the vents. The article, that Bob Scott article, tells you exactly what to do. But in any case, you want to heat up your RV, and that will burn off the fumes, helps burn off the fumes, and then you vent. You may have to do that several times in a row. So heat, vent, heat, vent, heat, vent. And the other thing I could try is there's a product called Safe Coat, made by a company, I think AFM, and they're sold by Green Design Builders or something like that. They also sell the product on Amazon. It's called Safe Coat Hard Seal, and you can paint over the paint that's in the trailer, and that's supposed to seal in all of the nasty off-gassing chemicals. And so I might try that. I think it's, I don't know, somewhere in the neighborhood of $40 or $50 to buy that Safe Coat paint. Probably just one can will do it. They also sell samples of it, so I might try the samples first, and then if it seems to work, then do the actual painting job. So that's the second option. A third option, which I never knew about, but on that article it talked about putting ammonia inside of your RV, in my case, my Teardrop trailer, and leave it there enclosed for 2 or 3 days. And it's supposed to interact with the formaldehyde and turn it into water, basically, so it neutralizes it. But I'm not sure about my RV. I don't want it to be, the trailer, I don't want it to be smelling like ammonia, but hopefully you can vent that out. So that would probably be the last option I would try. So I'm thinking that for May, I'm going to be dealing with that, trying to get the trailer to be off-gassing less, or completely get rid of it so I can feel safe to sleep in it. You know, my aunt died of lung cancer, my father died of lung cancer, so it's in my family, and I do have asthma, and I already have issues with that, and I just don't need to make it worse. So I'm concerned, because these things can definitely exacerbate your respiratory issues, you know, acutely, but also long term. I think you're exposing yourself to these carcinogenic chemicals, and you know, you increase your chances, I think, of you know, it turning into cancer. So I'm very concerned about it, and I'm thinking, gosh, what am I going to do if I can't mitigate it and get rid of it? Then what? Well, then I'm probably gonna rent the camper out in the San Francisco Bay Area. I'm sure I can rent it out and make some of the money back that I spent on it, and then eventually, when I'm ready, sell it and then get something else. What that would be, I don't know. But I'm bummed about this, because I really was, you know, looking forward to camping in it right away. But at this point, to be honest, I don't feel safe camping in it. So the other thing I want to take care of is there is a memory foam mattress in there. Those things off gas as well. As I look at it, you're basically sleeping on a slab of petrochemicals. I mean, those things are made out of petroleum. It's a slab of petrochemicals, and I just don't think that's very healthy for you either. There's the asthma. But I also don't like them. As a postmenopausal woman, they sleep too hot. I feel trapped in them. I don't like it at all. They're too firm for my back. I sink into it too much. I don't think they're comfortable. Nor are they safe, to my mind, anyways. And so I want to get rid of the one that's in there. And I purchased a trifold foam mattress off of Amazon that has a CertiPure certification. Okay, I need some water. Which is supposed to be a certification that shows that the product is not off-gassing, nasty chemicals. So I bought that trifold. I haven't gotten it yet, but I just ordered it. And it's kind of a firmer. It's firm, probably too firm. And so I'm thinking I may need to put a latex topper on that. Now, latex is my favorite. I love natural latex. It's springy, it's bouncy, it sleeps cool, whereas the memory foam sleeps hot. Now, the natural latex is more expensive, but to me, it's worth it. My home bed is the best bed I have ever slept in. I have done a lot of pet sits over the years, and I've slept in a lot of beds. Most of them usually are the memory foam. They're popular, but every time I get home, I am so happy to get back into my own latex bed. And there's a wonderful company in Berkeley called European Sleepworks, and they have these really fabulous beds, but they're also super expensive, $2,000 to $3,000 for these latex beds. So I decided about 5 years ago to actually make and build my own bed at my home. I went to a website called DIYmattress.net, and I bought all of the components myself separately, and then I put the bed together, and I got a bed together for about $1,000. So about a half to a third of the cost of what I would have spent at European Sleepworks. And I have a fabulous bed. It's just so comfortable, and it's so good for side sleepers like myself. It sleeps cool. So what I have is on the bottom, I've got 8 inches of pocket coils. So it's wrapped in a fabric. They're steel coils, and they're about 8 inches tall. They're firmer in the middle, and I think softer on the edge. So when you sit on the edge, it doesn't feel too firm. So on the bottom, I have those coils, and then on top of that, I have 3 inches of Talalay latex, which is a wonderful sort of airy, kind of lightweight, cooling latex on the top. It's soft too. So I have about 3 inches of a latex, so I bought that separately too, and then I bought this cover to encase it all in. And I also put a layer of organic wool on the top. So, and then I put the whole bed on a wood slatted bed frame to allow the airflow. And so it's a fabulous bed. The only problem is with this bed is that it's extremely heavy. You cannot lift that thing. It's really, really hard. It's not like a box spring that you can lift and, stack, lean it against the wall. Oh no, you can't do that with this. It's so friggin' heavy. When I moved a few years ago, I had to take the latex off and kind of fold it in a special way to get into a box, and the same with the pocket coils. And so I just had to box each component separately, and it was doable, but man, it was heavy. So it's heavy, I will I will say that, and that's one of the drawbacks of it. So in any case, I want to kind of create my bed at home in the camper, but I'm not going to spend that money yet until I'm pretty sure I can get rid of I need to fumigate my trailer, get rid of those fumes that are happening, and see if it's going to work before I invest in a bed. But I was thinking that I would do a base layer of the hard foam, and then 2 inches or so of latex as the top soft layer. And I think that would be pretty comfortable, and it wouldn't be off-gassing, and it's natural. So yeah, that's the other thing I want to take care of, but not until I fumigate my trailer. So that's where that is at, and yeah, it's step by step, right? It's like, okay, I'm so many question marks for me on this odyssey I'm on once if and when I can get this trailer to not be off-gassing, will I have enough electricity to be able to work from the road? That's a big question mark for me. I have a couple of different jobs that I do, and I need to have, regular access Monday through Friday to internet, and I need to have a regular signal. I need a lot of power because I print a lot of letters to attorneys and doctors, and they need to be mailed out in a prompt manner. And so there's a lot of question marks to me as to whether or not I'm going to be able to do this. But, it's step by step. We'll just see how it's supposed to turn out. And I'm sure if this doesn't work, I will figure out something else. That's how life is, right? We just go along the path, and then when we hit a fork, go one direction or the other and figure it out. So that's where things are at. So I'm going to show you the botanical gardens. Let's take a little tour of the beautiful Fort Bragg, Mendocino botanical gardens. So I'm going to turn you around. So yeah, I think I'm here at a good time. It's just blooming beautifully here. So we have some rhododendrons here, which they grow very well at the coast. They like the cold and the fog, which you have here at the coast. So they do really well. This is like, I don't know, fairyland here. I love it. Hobbit land. That's one of the things I love about Mendocino, is I feel like it's Hobbit land. There's all these wonderful Victorians and cool looking buildings and structures and cool flora and fauna like this. It's just fantabulous. The trees in Mendocino are just beautiful. If you ever have the chance to come to California, I highly recommend taking Highway 1 from Big Sur all the way up to the Mendocino coast. You can't quite take Highway 1 all the way. You have to kind of jog over, go through San Francisco, and then hop back on Highway 1, I think. But, oh my gosh, beautiful country. So many times I come here and I think, this has got to be one of the most gorgeous places I've ever seen. I wonder if there's anywhere else that's as beautiful as this. There must be. There absolutely must be. But there's something about this spot that just makes me feel alive and invigorated and joyful. It just, everything converges to just tickle my senses, as it were. I just love, like I said before, the dramatic ocean and the cliffs and the old buildings and the new buildings, the flora and the fauna, the ocean and the trails. Oh my goodness, the trails. I've hiked many of the trails alone and felt, whoops, I reached a dead end here, and felt safe. And it's partially because the field of view is good. You can't be surprised by somebody or something or animal jumping out from the bushes at you. You can really see when you're hiking along the ocean bluffs. You can see all around you. And those trails at the ocean bluffs in Mendocino are spectacular. So I love the hiking here. Can't beat it. It's just beautiful. Highway 1. It's gorgeous. While I love Mendocino, I couldn't live here just because the weather is not friendly to my joints. It's cold and damp and rainy and foggy, and it gives me a lot more joint pain, unfortunately. So I couldn't live here, but I'm so happy that I live close enough to be able to come and visit several times a year. There's a place when I first moved to the Bay Area from Los Angeles in 1997. Oh, look at the frog. So cute. I came up to Mendocino and I just remember right away just loving it and just thinking I don't think I can afford to stay here. They have lots of vacation rentals and B&Bs and, you know, expensive hotels that are very expensive. But I discovered this place called Jug Handle Farm. And it's kind of like a cross between a bed and breakfast and a youth hostel. It's this big 100-year-old farmhouse. And it's got that brick red color. And it was built in the early, I think, 1900s. So it's old, over 100 years old. And you can stay in your own individual room there. And it has a kitchen, a community kitchen that you can stay in. And back in the day, it was cheap to stay there. I don't know. I think it was like $20 a night. I don't know what it is nowadays. But even at $40-50 a night, that's a steal. It's still there. It still is operating. They also have cabins there. And they also have campgrounds. So you can tent camp there. And it's called Jug Handle Farm. I haven't stayed there in a few years, but I recommend it. It's always been one of my favorites, and they have improved it. The last time I was there, they've done a lot of improvements. So they have a website, check them out. And across from Jug Handle Farm is a Jug Handle Preserve, and there's a beach right there. You can hike there and go down to the beach there. They have a pygmy forest too, where you can hike up to where the trees get smaller and smaller and smaller, to where they're just a few feet tall when you get closer to the top. So that's a cool thing. For the vacation rental that I manage, I had so much fun putting together. I believe these are rhododendrons. Oh my goodness. Look at that light pink color. Spectacular. It's like the cherry tree color. Wow. Wowza. But I had so much fun putting together the things to do list because there's so many interesting things to do in Mendocino. This was probably one of my favorites, is to do the Mendocino Gardens, and then I have a lot of hikes on there that I recommend. We also have a, what do you call it? Sort of like an animal preserve. They have giraffes from Africa, and other animals from Africa. So that's a cool place to visit. They're out more instead of cages, they're out in the natural land, which I like. We have great lighthouses here to see. Love lighthouses. Those are really cool. We have Devil's Punch Bowl at Russian Gulch State Park, which is like a sea cave, and the water, you know, goes up in fountain-like. So it's just very cool. So I had a lot of fun putting together that things to do recommendation list. A lot of great restaurants. The village of Mendocino has a lot of great restaurants, anything you want. From upscale to casual. Camellia Garden. Mendocino Village was founded by a lot of artists. So there's a lot of art galleries there. yeah, like I said, the town of, or village of Mendocino is very quaint and very cute. And the house of Murder, She Wrote is there, and that's fun to see. It's still quite beautiful. Mendocino is interesting in that it's definitely the haves and the have-nots here. You have these very expensive vacation rentals and hotels and B&Bs, and the vacation homes, you know, by the wealthy and super wealthy here. And then you have the locals who, you know, probably don't have that good of paying jobs around here, that can't afford a lot of these expensive restaurants and groceries and whatnot. So it's definitely a contrast of the haves and the have-nots. The light play on all the green. Spectacular. This trail, the lady at the front, I was buying my ticket, my senior ticket. That's one nice thing about getting older, you get the discount. Instead of 20, I paid 17. Anyway, she said that the trail is about a half mile to the ocean. I probably don't have enough time to make it there today, as I've got some other errands to run. But yeah, if you can ever get to California, definitely come check out Mendocino. Oh my goodness. Oh gosh, look at that pink color. Oh my word. Oh. I'm speechless. Oh my goodness. So this is rhododendron Simsey, it says. Variegated form. And then beneath that here is Indian azalea. Mother's Day is coming up, and my mom is always been a bit of a green thumb. And maybe I will buy her a gift on my way out of some seedlings. Maybe a rhododendron. She still grows. She's 91 years old and she still likes to plant things. So that will be a gift that she would really love. Wow. Oh gosh, here's another favorite color of mine, lavender. I hear the buzzing bees. I'm not too worried about them. They're too busy. They're busy bees. Woodland Garden. Let's go see the Woodland Garden. I have been here over Christmas, and they have a light show in here. You can come at night, and it was quite magical. I've only been once, but it was Really fun. We even got to roast marshmallows. Sorry for the sun glare. Look at those gigantic leaves. I wonder what those are. Dinosaur leaves? Haha. I don't know if such a thing exists. Let's turn and get out of the sun glare here. The weather can change in a nanosecond here. Today it's sunny and warm. Yesterday it was rainy and cloudy and windy and cold. I'm getting better and better at doing the wood burning stove. Forgot to bring a map with me, so I might get lost in here. There's lots of curvy trails. I can't quite tell what direction I'm in. Ooh, I just got a whiff of a rose. That must be this one. No, that's actually camellia. I bet you the botanical gardens in the south must be really spectacular. That would be on my bucket list. The only place I've been to in the south is Florida and New Orleans. Don't do too good with humidity. I lived in California most of my life, and so changing to, oh god, there's that fuchsia color again that I love. Changing to a really like humid environment, humid type of weather would not sit well with me. I was born in Las Vegas, and we had that dry heat, of course. And I remember, oh god, this is like the rhododendron column here, walking to and from school in the heat. But I always liked that dry heat when I was young. So dry heat doesn't bother me as much as, of course, the humid heat. I lived in New York City back in the early 80s for a few years, 2 or 3 years. And wow, I could not wait to get back to California, and I brought my boyfriend with me to California, who was a true New Yorker until he got to California and saw the beaches and the weather, and he hasn't left since. He's married now and never looked back to New York. You definitely get spoiled here with the climate, for sure. We pay for it here. But yeah, years ago I'd looked into maybe moving somewhere else, and every time I would check a place, it was like, nope, can't do that climate. Nope, can't do that climate. Too hot, too cold, too humid, too much snow, too much rain, too much clouds. So I'm spoiled. What can I say? But yeah, New York, I remember I just couldn't ever seem to get warm enough outside. And I didn't have a car, so I'd have to walk to the subway, walk for blocks and blocks and blocks, and just be so cold. Yeah, went off to New York, didn't know anybody. Went to a dance club with a friend, and I met Nino. Turns out he was a fashion designer for Ralph Lauren and a musician and very talented guy. Kind of a Renaissance man. He could do anything and everything. Play the guitar, play the drums, sang, wrote lyrics, wrote songs, designed clothing, drew pictures, made art, wrote poetry. I mean, it's amazing. And I actually played in his band for a little while. He taught me how to play bass guitar. And that was kind of a novel thing back in the early 80s to see a female bass guitarist. I didn't get that good. I don't know. I didn't really love it, so I guess I just didn't have a passion for it. But that was spectacular. The fun part for me was actually making music with other members in a band and playing at some of the fun clubs in New York City. The Mud Club, for example. I think that 80s music is one of the best eras for music myself. I got to see some fantastic bands and music and concerts and small venues, jazz in New York City, bars and clubs. I did a little bit of modeling, but I was 5'7", and that was considered too short in the modeling world, so I had a little bit of a hard time getting jobs. Agents would tell me over and over again, you would do really well in Europe. You have a very European look. But I never did make it over there to Europe. I did go to Paris, but just for vacation, not to try and get a modeling career going. I had lots of adventures in New York. Gosh, I was in my early 20s, and I took a lot of risks back then, and it all turned out okay. I know my mom was worried about me, poor thing. But I was introduced to a lot of, interesting ideas and foods. Like I tried, Thai food there for the first time, Indian food, lots of ethnic foods. It was just very, opened up my world, I guess you could say. And I'm grateful for that experience. I loved big cities back then, the excitement of big cities. And it's interesting now that I'm going to be 66 tomorrow. I much prefer quieter towns like this. I want less stress and less noise and less parking issues and all of the sirens and everything that comes with living in a bigger city or a big suburb or urban areas. Wildlife corridor. You may see a variety of animals in this area. Occasionally mountain lion and bear sightings have been reported. Oh dear. Didn't bring my bear spray. No, there's plenty of people around. I'm not worried. It's fairyland here. Hobbit land. It's so lush. It's funny, it's one of those weathers where it's sunny, but I can feel the rain droplets. Yeah, these flowers are going really good right now. As I hope to do, if I can get out on the road, I want to, visit smaller towns. I'm not too interested in actually seeing big cities. I want to see Washington, D.C. I've never been there. But I want to visit a lot of little towns and rural areas. Well, the video's getting a little long now, so I think I will end it here. Thank you for joining me on my botanical garden walk, and I'll see you next time. So a little bonus footage. I did end up making it all the way to I'm getting there now, the ocean. And this is kind of typical of the hikes in Mendocino along the bluff. And so you can see what I mean about the field of view. You can see plenty around you. But I thought, I gotta show them the ocean. I can't be in Mendocino and not show them the ocean. That's just wrong. So here we go. It's kind of clouding up. So the water is like an azure blue. We have a lot of these sea stacks around Mendocino. And there's another cool spot called Bowling Ball Beach. And literally on the beach, if the water, the tide isn't in too far, you can see these round balls on the beach that look like bowling balls. So that's a cool feature in Mendocino as well. And look where I'm going while I'm filming here. I don't want to topple over the cliff. Oh dear. That wouldn't be good. The house that I manage is right on the water. There's this huge deck, and you stand on it and look down at the water kind of like this, and you feel like you're on a boat. It's the most spectacular thing, and you can hear the ocean waves like you can now. It's like a lullaby. So pretty. I think it's Morro Bay. Down further south of here, way further south, they have a really wonderful sanctuary for birds there. Really spectacular. A must-see. Okay, well, I wanted to share the ocean with you, so there you go.